Hey, hey, welcome to my live. Emily Grabatin here, and I'm just figuring out, it's been a while since I've been live. All right. Awesome. Come join us. Wave if you're hi. Hi, Erica. Welcome. It's been a while since I've done a live. So, let's see how we can do that. We're going to be starting about getting started with building authority in your niche. So let me know in your comments while you're joining us. Let's see. Oh, it's telling me a whole tutorial. Apparently it's been a while. Let's see. All right. Okay. Can you hear me? Say wave. Say hi. Excellent. Okay, we did this. Can you hear
Yay.
me?
I can hear you great. Can you hear me?
Yeah. Okay, great. Woo! That's been a while since I've done that.
I know. I was like trying to figure out.
So
It was
long.
so
It was
good
giving me
to
tutorials on the
reframe.
screen, and I'm like, really? It's been that long already. Welcome. All right, for everybody hanging out with us, it's so good to see you.
Yeah.
Wave in the comments. We are here talking about building authority in your niche as a go-to expert. And so I'm your host, Emily Grabatin. I'm author. I'm a coach for purpose-driven entrepreneurs with a God dream, helping you move from scattered and scared to calmly productive and visible. And so this is one of the conversations I don't think I even told you this, I'm calling the series Because She Dared to Get Visible. And so this is
Ooh,
the
I love
start
it.
of a few conversations. We get to start this off, a couple conversations on the different aspects of getting visible. If you haven't, so you're in the right place. If you are just starting out in your ventures, so you've just decided to become a coach, you've just decided I'm going to do this business thing, whatever it is, and you've realized, oh, now I've got to tell people about it. Like, I guess it
Mhm.
doesn't happen any other way if we don't tell anyone about it, and you're like starting to sweat, or I'm not into social media, or whatever your thing is. It's uncomfortable, but you're also in the right place if you've been visible for a while and you've just maybe you've just launched a new product, maybe you've just created a new offer and it feels like it's a part of you and you're feeling really vulnerable putting it out in the world, or you're just in a new phase and you're realizing, oh, I've got to position myself in a new way or in a new pivot, and you're like, I should be over this by now. Like, why am I feeling, it happens to all of us. So just so you know, all of those things are in the right place for this mini conversation here. And I'm here with Shi Chen from Shi Chen Coaching. She is a certified business coach for, oh, let me get my notes, get this right, who supports values-driven entrepreneurs and coaches to become the go-to source in their industry and sign dream clients. Love that. So welcome, Shi. So good to hang
Yeah,
out with
thank you,
you.
Emily. So glad to be here.
Yeah, so I like to start out our conversation with she dared story. So I'd love to know
Hmm.
from you, what was a time when you felt vulnerable or resistant to getting visible about something and it totally paid off, but man, it was getting pretty close.
I mean, that's such a good question. I think the story that comes to mind was probably like the first time I got visible. I started coaching back in 2015, and my first form of visibility was actually through blogging. And so I was like, even through the written word, I just remember feeling so nervous, like hitting publish, right? I mean, like, oh my gosh, like what if my friends see this, or potential clients can see this too. But I remember the reason why I was so willing to do that was because I knew I had a message to share with people. I knew if at least if I could inspire or help one person with what I was doing, that it would be worth it. And so I just think that that was kind of like this my journey into getting visible was to realize that I wanted to make an impact in the world, and the best
Yeah.
way to do that is through getting visible.
Yeah. And you kind of hold out. You're probably in this place because you've realized that kind of that crux to say, I have to get it out now. Like maybe I've been procrastinating to now. I'm into this conversation because I know I have to get visible now. And man, like, how do I get on the other side, right? So let's kind
Yeah.
of go right there to say, what are some tips? Um, first of all, I guess what is the biggest challenge you see within entrepreneurs? Um, when it comes to building authority on the line, especially if they feel new in the space or just even insecure about what they're offering, when there's so many competition and noise or even louder people out there that just seem to be doing it so much better and you're just starting out. What are some of the challenges you
Yeah.
see?
Well, I definitely think that the mindset challenges are probably the biggest thing that will inform how you show up in your visibility and how your strategy can play out too. So just like you mentioned, like just like the feeling of, oh my goodness, like there's so many other people who are doing what I'm doing. And then for me, it's always like just validating, validating, oh, like there's a need for what I have to do because other people are out there doing what I want to do. Um, but really what I see is almost like this battle between understanding what an expert truly is and how you can kind of show up as your definition of one. And so a lot of the women that I work with will struggle with feeling like an expert, even though they have all of the
Yeah.
certifications, all of the experiences, all of the knowledge, but for some reason they feel like they have to know more before they can help
Hmm.
someone today, or they feel
Hmm.
like um, or even like they are actually so knowledgeable that when they go talk to somebody who's outside of their industry, people don't understand what they're talking about because the language that they're using is not accessible, and so it feels really frustrating. So
Yeah.
that's to say it's like to recognize that you actually are an expert, right, in terms of you putting in the work to grow your craft, right, you actually know
Yeah.
a lot. And then the other side of showing up as an expert, and what I see sometimes is women who actually have a really incredible like personal story that is like the jumping point to starting their business. So maybe they have overcome a challenge in their life and now they want to help other people overcome
Hmm.
a similar challenge in their life. And so what they do is they'll share a lot of what's worked for them, or they are really genuine and they can make really great connections. However, they miss the authority piece
Yeah.
because, right, because it's coming from a place of authenticity, which is really wonderful. But if people don't understand the problem that you can
Yeah.
solve or how you can help them, they don't know that they can hire you, and then they just end up being friend
Right.
zoned, right? Like
Yeah.
as a business owner. And so I think those are like the common challenge that I see when it comes to mindset. And it's almost like two sides of the same coin of
So
like
yeah,
defining,
comparison, like they're so far ahead, I can't compare,
yeah,
even though facts driven, if they were to say this is what expert means in this in this realm, this container to these people. So defining expert kind of thing
yeah,
and really like removing from comparing because that it ends up being this big, massive like oh, we've kind of mushed all together. And if you take it apart to
yeah.
say, wait a minute, like, who are they? Who am I all comparing myself to for one? And who am I think is going to be listening that needs this, right? And actually drilling it down is one. And then you're saying the other one is being so authentic and friendly that you miss the authority part. And
Mm-hmm.
they don't know that, they can see you as someone who can lead you through the next steps in that.
Exactly. And so
Yeah.
I think the biggest shift that happened for me was actually reframing the term expert into
Mm,
a guide or a
love
mentor.
that.
And,
Yeah.
like I call myself like a business mentor and a coach because I think that you're saying like if you, I think the word expert almost feels like you've reached a certain status and, and you kind of know it all. But I think it's
Yeah.
always like in relation to whom, right? Like
Mm,
in
yeah.
relation to other
Totally.
people
Yeah.
in your industry. But if you actually frame it into a guide or a coach or a mentor, or let me in the comments like what resonates with you, it's in relation to the people that you want to serve, your audience, your community. And I think when you're able to think through the lens of, hey, I know a lot, and
Yeah.
but I want to use what I know to serve other people. I want to use what I know to guide other people to through their own journeys. Then I think that allows you and motivates you to get visible, because it shifts the focus from me to other focused.
Yeah.
And you don't have to wait until, you earn another certification. You can actually start helping somebody with what you know today.
Yeah. Yeah. I love that. To just look at, okay, who am I going to help? And
Yeah.
often it's not the people we're comparing ourselves to who are going to be
Yeah.
helping anyway. And so, I've talked to myself down from that too, say, wait a minute, that's not even who I'm going to serve. So that they're not even the same realm. Why is this bothering me? Like, I'm helping this
Yeah.
person. And as soon as they say, well, if I'm going to help this person, oh yeah, I am expert. Or, they're
Exactly.
looking at, I
Yeah.
just figured this out thing 2 days ago, and they're marveling at how well I'm doing it. And I'm like, okay, I'm not going to tell you an expert, but I can tell you how to do this.
Yeah. I think it's like you're saying, like it's giving yourself a lot of credit because you probably know more than you realize, but also too in relation to helping somebody else too. It's like you can trust yourself to be able to help help them. And if you don't know, you can learn more. And that's how you grow your expertise even further.
Yeah. So if you're watching in the comments, we would love to know, how would you feel comfortable referring to yourself? Would it be, an expert in, I mean, sure, if you're going to teach surgery to someone, or, this,
Yeah,
you kind of want
you better know
an
yourself.
expert. I want to know that you are, way up there in your
Yeah.
certification and practice. But there's much more in life where, yeah, like you want to guide, and it has a softer, um, leaning along, walking alongside you connotation versus, a coach has a connotation, mentor, guru has its
Mm-hmm.
own following too. So even authority can sound like an intimidating word. So let us know in the comments what word resonates with you. What one, and think about how you feel when you say the word. What makes you just relax and say, "Oh, I can fit that word. That word
Yeah.
fits with me." That's what you're looking for too.
Mm-hmm.
Love that. So what would you recommend for people who are just starting out and this is new for, you know, just getting visible in the first place is new. So that, I mean, in that sense, you're vulnerable about probably a whole lot of things. And visibility is one of them. Building authority is one of them. How would you recommend when they're first getting started?
I think in terms of like a visibility strategy and getting started, just choosing like one platform, like one place to start connecting with your audience. So like Instagram is a great place, Facebook, like the social media platform, just choosing one so you can sort of focus your energy and attention on there. But in terms of like actually getting visible and thinking through content, it's really again like creating content that does position yourself as an authority. So some content prompts would be, things like really thinking through in your industry, like if you were to help somebody, what are some strategies that would be really helpful for people to implement today? What are some new ways that they might need to like think about the work that you do so that they're ready to be able to work with you? What are some common mistakes that people make when it comes to like what you have to offer, and what are some of the solutions that they could try? And so I think it's choosing, to commit to just like offering again, like content that positions yourself as an authority, but being open enough to, again, know that it's like a relationship that you're building with your community. So kind of seeing what what works, what doesn't work, listening to what their needs are, asking questions about where they are, so that then you can get more feedback and almost tailor your content moving forward as well too. It's almost like you're like, the best way to get started is to get started, and then the more you do it, the better you can improve on it.
You figure it out along the way. And
Yeah.
I always felt better, like, okay being started because I knew a lot of people weren't watching me yet. So I was like,
Yeah.
okay,
There
now's
wasn't as
probably the good
much
time to make the mistakes
pressure.
because,
Yeah.
I'm not in front of as many eyes. And so, that was kind of what I had to do and kind of combat the perfectionist. Well, it has to be at this level here. I'm like, wait a minute, I'm going to figure this out. I go, and at least I've gotten started and I've figured out my rhythms and how to write my style, all of those things.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, and so those are maybe for getting if you're new starting out. What if you've just created a new project and you made a pivot and you've been visible in one direction and you're shifting into say another one? What would you say to that person in strategy sense?
I mean, I think it really comes down to messaging, and I think messaging and visibility actually go really hand in hand. And so when you're thinking about positioning yourself as an expert, your message is the way that you communicate, like who you help, how you serve, how you're different, and why it's important. And so if you're making a shift, I think that's a great time for you to take a look at your messaging and really refine it to see how it reflects the direction that you want your business to go into. And as you do that too, I think it's almost like if you're shifting into a new space, it's like bringing your audience with you. I'm doing hand gestures. I'm
I
bringing
love it.
your audience with you, and to almost make the connection between
Yeah.
this is what I was doing, this is where I'm going, this is what you can expect, and if you want to join me along the journey,
Mhm.
come along, sort of thing.
Yeah.
Um, and I think knowing, like, being okay that some people will continue along with you and some people won't, and that's okay too. But I think, again, I think the biggest difference will be just really refining your message, making sure that it's compelling, it's speaking to the business that you want to have, maybe not necessarily the one that you have
Mhm.
right now. And then just knowing that it's just going to be something that you share over and over and over and over again, um, and the more that you feel like a broken record, then you're doing something right. You're
Right.
upholding your
Yeah.
your authority in that area.
Yeah. Yeah, people recognize the consistency because you feel like you're saying the same thing over and over and over. But to them, you're saying it in the context of everything else that they're hearing and being bombarded with. So it's in a sense a sign of trust when oh, they're saying the same thing. Like, okay, I need to go back to that thing, or oh, okay,
Yeah.
like they're showing up consistency, or I know who they are and what they're all about. And that's simple enough that I can resonate with it instead of feeling pulled to all the fancy tips or, there's so many tips and strategies and advice out there and ads that get you that, and you start believing that you need all of them at once. It gets overwhelming and you shut down. So just knowing what is your simple strategy to start and what can you do to keep reinforcing that over and over until
Mm-hmm.
you're in a place to try more things. Love
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
Awesome. So you actually have a tool that helps people look at their messaging, whether they're starting out or scaling. It's good to revisit that often enough. Things shift before, like in our businesses, even while we're growing, while our people changes, times are changing, and so it's good to revisit that. Anyway, tell us about the free tool that you have. Anyone can grab it if that's something that they need.
Yeah, so I had created a free resource because that's what I found was the biggest challenge that people have when it comes to getting visible, is that they're not quite sure what to say, or if they're nervous that if they're saying something it's not attracting the right people. And so the best way to solve for that is to create a business message that is clear and compelling so that you're actually drawing in more dream clients. And so it's called the Business Message Makeover. It's a workbook that I've created after, just like helping my one-on-one clients through this process of refining their own message. And then you can download that for yourself. Or you just go to the link in my profile. You'll be able to grab that for yourself.
Awesome.
Yeah.
I saw Erica commented, but for some reason I don't know how to see my comments. So I'll go with later, Erica. I'm sure it was brilliant. Love that. So you can go to Shi Chen at Shi Chen Coaching. Follow her, click on her links. I'll add them below too. But you could do that if that's a tool that you could use to sharpen it. And then I
Yeah.
realized I was getting ready for this, and I'm like, oh, I should probably do that now. I don't,
Yeah.
yeah, and
Yeah.
it's also a tool to give others, right? So on the other
Mhm.
side of this, being the host and reaching out to um, and she gives me her one page and her one line to say, oh yeah, that's so sharp and succinct, right? And you probably had it already, so you're not coming up with it on the spot. You've got it all prepared. You've thought it through. You're just copying, pasting it towards me, and I'm like, oh yeah, like on both sides it's so
Yeah.
rewarding when you have that figured out to say, no, this is what I say, this is what I like, and you don't feel like you're put on the spot trying to figure this out and make it sound brilliant as soon the moment someone needs it. You've got
Yeah.
all of this ahead of time. And
It's nice and
you
handy.
don't have to, yeah, because otherwise your insecurity, your hesitancy feels louder than, you know, the words that you're coming up
Hmm.
with. And but when you have it already, you just copy and paste, and you almost don't have room for all of the feelings to get in the way too, or at least,
Exactly.
right? Yeah. So I was thinking of that angle too, that it's helpful to have those tools. So go grab that from She, and
Hmm.
then yeah, follow us both. If this is a journey you're on, then you'll get some of those tidbits in both of our feeds to keep going on the journey, because confidence in building, it's an ongoing thing, it's a process, and all of our emotions fluctuate along the way. So give us a follow if you
Exactly.
need some encouragement in that area too. Let us know any questions and tag us with a takeaway, or how you've applied this and how you've been encouraged, so that you can do that. So what's something, I mean, that's something that you could do right today, this week,
Hmm.
because if you walk away and think that's a good inspiration, you'll do that. But, so if you're watching, give us a takeaway of what's something small you can do today, whether it's download She's Freebie, whether it's just to say, okay, um, here's what my message is about. Whether it's just to think, okay, I'm going to call myself a guide, or identifying, do I need to be more authoritative and less authentic, or so whatever you take away, let us know in the comments too. We'd love to know. She, thanks so much
Yeah. Yeah.
for
Thanks for having
joining
me.
us. Yeah, really great to have you. We'll see you around.
Bye.
Take care. Bye.